like to call this meeting to order. This is a special Board of Education meeting in open session. This is a workshop for Tuesday, October 4th, 2016. The topic of today's meeting is the proposed vote regarding the Education Resource Officer contract. We've I guess been in this mode or in negotiating for quite a while, and this is where we've arrived. I do think that the contract is serviceable. For me, speaking as an individual board member, it's not my preference. My preference is the original proposal that we proposed. That is for 3-year contract with the 1.5-year opt-out, but we couldn't reach agreement on that one. So we do have a 3-year contract on the table today with a 2-year opt-out. That's where we are. And so that's the contract up for vote today. What we'll do, I think there's a couple of things to do. I don't see that there should be a terrible amount of discussion today, but obviously board members, if you have comments, of course they'll be heard. If you want to know what the statement is, Superintendent Cheatham is prepared to give you a brief overview of what the statement is. That's if that's something you're interested in, and she's prepared to do that. Anything you'd like to say as we get started, Superintendent Cheatham?
No, not a whole lot. Just thankful to the board for your persistence in trying to come to agreement on a contract that allows us the kind of flexibility that we need to make improvements in our approach to the way that EROs work in our schools, and looking forward to moving beyond this stage and getting to the actual work of improving that practice. And that's essentially after tonight and all pending your decision, and then in turn the City Council's decision later this evening. We look forward to making a joint public statement really to that effect, that we are all prepared to do the hard work of reflecting on our practice, asking the tough questions that we need to ask, and together implementing those improvements over the life of the contract, which I know is what's most important to us. So I'll leave it there.
Okay, do any board members have any thoughts that they'd like to express at this time? Mr. Loomis.
Yeah, thanks, James. I do what I do for a job, and I do what I do on the school board here to hopefully eventually make a world where we don't need cops in our schools. I'm going to vote for this because I think there's value there. But at some point, our entire country has to figure out what we're doing and develop a more supportive relationship with police and any other authoritarian. So I'm gonna not stop working for that type of a world and school system eventually. But I think that's a goal that's out there, and it's something that I do live my life for to try to build. So that's I think this is a reasonable. I don't know if it's a compromise or not, but I think it's reasonable with what we're doing, particularly that we're going to be having the opportunity to discuss what's happening in other parts of the country with school districts that are ahead of us in addressing this problem, and we need to catch up. We're not in the lead of this problem, and we need to be there if we are the school district we say we are, and if we are the community we say we are. So I'll vote for this.
Mr. Merks.
Very briefly, I want to thank everybody who worked on the contract at both sides of it. It has been a long haul on that, and I want to especially thank the members of the public, including our students, our parents, our staff, as well as just community members who made their voices heard on this. And some of those people may be disappointed that we have any contract at all, that we're continuing for at least 2 years with police and schools, but the contract we have is very, very different than we would have had they not shared their thoughts and experiences with us. And I think that the district and I believe the city also is committed to looking at ways to improve this. And those public voices are going to be a key part of that going forward. And so if you're discouraged that we are signing any contract at all, or if we're signing a 2-year contract, I'd like to ask you to turn that around and look at the opportunities you have here to shape the roles of policing in our schools and force the very basic questions about what they are doing and what they're doing that is good and what they're doing that is harmful, and help us find ways with that. So.
Thank you.
That's it.
Ms. Moffett?
Yeah, I will just say thanks to all the people who have worked on this effort. I know it's been difficult at times, a little bit confusing at times as well, but I'm really proud of the work we put into this and that we've come to this place and have a good compromise with the city. I would just say a special thank you to James and TJ, because I know you guys have been in the spotlight, literally, and that's not always a great place to be, especially when the topic is can be controversial. And so I appreciate you being out in front. And I will be voting in favor of this contract. I know it's slightly different than what we had voted on last week, but I do think it's a contract that ensures not only safety, but it's also a contract that is more socially just. And I think it moves us closer to our goal of making sure that our schools are great for every student that attends them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, then I'll move that the Board of Education amend its previous action taken on September 21st and on September 26, 2016, and to approve entering into an agreement with the City of Madison for the provision of education resource officers covering MMSD school years 2016-17, 2017-18, and 2018-19 as set forth in the documents prepared for the October 4th, 2016 special education meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded by Michael. Any final comments or thoughts? Seeing none, a mayor advisory vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, well, I think that actually concludes our work for the day, and I'll move adjournment.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Aye.
All right, we're done here.